Down in Beaver Dam Valley, where the mountain air sings with the laughter of brooks, and the scent of pine lingers like a persistent whisper, the mountain folk had gathered for the annual county fair. The day was marked by clear blue skies, and the warmth of the late summer sun sparkled on the canopy of leaves above. The fairground was abuzz with excitement, stalls decked with colorful bunting, and tables laden with homemade goods and prized livestock. At the heart of this vibrant scene stood Mr. Zeke Calloway, a man of stout heart and considerable girth, holding up a bulging pumpkin decorated with a covenant blue ribbon for the first prize. His face split into a wide, triumphant grin as he gestured grandly at his neighbor and his lifelong rival, Mr. Hank Huggins. "I reckon y'all don't grow pumpkins like that on your side of the mountain," he crowed. "Law me," drawled Hank, who had been known on occasion to stretch the truth somewhat. "That little bitty thing would look like a peanut beside the pumpkins in my patch." "Well, it sure is a mighty funny thing you didn't bring any of your monstrous pumpkins to the fair. Mighty funny," snickered Zeke. "Well now, to tell you the truth, I was aiming to bring one, but we had a little accident up at our place this morning, and it broke up my plans somewhat." "Well, what kind of accident?" asked Zeke suspiciously. "Well, you see, it was this-a-way. My wife had laid off to bring a pumpkin pie to the fair, and she was up early a-baking the crust. And as soon as it was done, she climbed up the mountain to the field where the pumpkins were a-growing among the corn stalks. And of course, all my pumpkins were too big and too tough to carry. So she set out to cut a slab out of one, just enough to make the filling for her pie. Well, it seems she had some trouble with that too. Those pumpkins were so thick, I tell you, and her arm wasn't long enough to reach around to the inside, where the juicy part was. But she was bound and determined to get some of the very best part, because she was aiming to take first prize with her pie. So what she did was she hacked out a big old hole and climbed through it right to the center of that pumpkin. Now that would have been all right if the field where I planted them hadn't been so steep, you see. But you know how it is. Sometimes a pumpkin will break off its vine by its own weight and go rolling down the mountain. Well, you can just imagine what happened when that hefty wife of mine added her weight to the strain already on that vine. Before she even knew what was happening, she was a-tumbling head over heels inside that pumpkin as it rolled clean out of the cornfield. Well, anyway, I was in the barn lot, hitching up the mule to the wagon, when I looked up and I saw it coming, and it was picking up steam and speed every minute. And before I could gather my wits to think what to do, it came crashing hard into the lot fence and sent the rails a-flying like matchsticks. It tore clean through the barnyard and hit my wagon and sent all the wheels flying 4 ways at once. All the chickens and the ducks ran squawking for their lives. I tell you, I could hear my old lady a-screeching and a-hollering about that blasted pie as she went spinning and reeling down the mountain inside of that pumpkin. Well, sir, there wasn't a thing I could do about it, so I figured there wasn't any use to get excited. So I walked over to the ledge to have a look-see, and after a while, as it went bumping and bounding down towards the valley, cutting a swath through the underbrush as it went, about halfway down, I saw it bounce across the highway and crash into a covered wagon loaded with apples. Those folks in the valley told me afterwards that the apples rained down on them as thick as hail for half an hour or so. They thought a miracle had happened up in the sky. Soon after that, I'd lost sight of that dad-blasted thing. So I went on back to the barn. One look at my wagon told me I wasn't going to be able to haul nary a pumpkin to the fair. But I didn't see any call to give up on the trip. I could still go on muleback. The pumpkin had headed in that direction anyway, so I thought I might as well jog down and see what happened to my wife. So inside the cabin I went, and I put on my store-bought Sunday clothes. And as I was on my way out again, my eyes lit on that pie crust, just sitting there on the kitchen table. It was so nice and brown and crispy looking. And then it came to me that I might ought to take it with me. So I wrapped it up carefully so it wouldn't break. And I put it in my saddlebag. And then I straddled my mule and ambled on down the trail. Moseying on down a bit, when I got down to Beaver Dam, I began to get a suspicion that my old lady had rolled right into the fairground. You see, there was a hole in the side of the fence that would have accommodated an elephant, and the trail of wreckage inside the grounds looked like a hurricane had torn plumb through it. Folks were running around like excited ants, trying to fix up the damage. So anyhow, I followed that trail of ruin, and at the end of it, sure as shooting, there sat my wife among the wreckage of that pumpkin. It had smashed against a stone chimney.
I've got no pie to take to the fair.
She was a-wailing. Why, honey, yes you have, I said to her as I rode up. I put my hand into my saddlebag and brought out her pie crust.
But Hank,
She said,
a pumpkin pie's gotta have sugar and eggs and spices, and I don't know what all.
Not this pumpkin, honey, I said to her. The pumpkins I raise are already flavored. You can just scoop out one of these pieces and spread it out in the crust just as it is, and you will have a finer, tastier pie than anybody at the fair. Well, sir, she got up from there and she brushed herself off a mite, straightened her hair just a little bit, and she fixed up that pie just like I told her to. Matter of fact, you can see for yourself what the upshot was. Across that table full of wild strawberry jam, beside that fancy patchwork quilt, just a-hanging on the wall. There she stands. See that pie she's a-holding? That's the very pie. And if it ain't got a blue ribbon a-hanging on it, then I'll just eat my Sunday pants. Well, Hank, said Mr. Zeke Calloway sourly, all I've got to say is, it's too bad they're not offering prizes for tall tales, 'cause if there was, there'd be 2 blue ribbons hanging on both your lips.
Hey y'all, this is Sarah.
And JD.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you like good old-fashioned storytelling, told by a master storyteller, just like you were back on the old homestead, sitting on the front porch listening to Mama and Papa, then you're at the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell. Thank you kindly, and we'll see you on the next story.